Hornbeck, here in the Hornbeck Library. The first person we're going to hear from and see some of her works is, to my right, Tanya Ianovskaia, whom Claire and I first met in 1998 at a program, the World of Lewis Carroll Conference in the Foreign Language Library in Moscow, just on the inner ring at Ianovskaia ulica, for those of you who remember Moscow. Tanya had already done some illustrations of Carroll, and they were on display in the collection of Alexander Rushailo, who was probably the greatest Russian Carroll collector of the second half, maybe the whole of the 20th century. And the first question I have for Tanya is, when did you first read Alice, or have Alice read to you?
So it happened in 1967, when my mother came in later than usual from work and carrying a big book with the golden key on the cover, and it was Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass in one book, and it was Bulgarian edition, and it became the favorite book. I was at the age of 7 that time, and it became my favorite book from that time. So it was 1967.
1967. And the book actually was translated by a friend of both of ours, Nina Domurova, and it had been published in Sofia, Bulgaria, because at that time the Soviet Union liked to have publications in the satellite countries. And so this wonderful Russian translation with illustrations by Chukov, with the golden key, which is very symbolic because it unlocks the mysteries of nonsense, really, in the Alice books, was your first experience. I had meant to ask you and Oleg Lipchenko, our second speaker, whether you were influenced by Tenniel, but there were no Tenniel illustrations in Domorova's book.
Yes, actually it was the first translation for a very long period of time, and it was the only book. I started to make illustrations in 1978 when my mother was a literature editor in the publisher Kniga, which is translated to book, and they celebrated the jubilee of Lewis Carroll, and Lewis Carroll was in the plan of the publishing house, and my mother told me, maybe you want to illustrate Alice, and that's why I started to make my Alice in Wonderland illustrations. So I pretty much didn't know, I didn't see any of these illustrations, didn't read other version than in Russian translation of Nina Domurova. So and I was interested mostly in creating visual, of repeating Carroll's method of work, of visually recreating his method of work to draw the puzzles, to draw his play of word, paradoxes, metaphors. That was my point of view, and I was taking my year off from my studies in art college in Moscow, and I went to Tbilisi to visit my grandparents, and there in the isolated village of Sagarejo, I mostly was working because we lived all together in one room, like 4 or 5 people, and it was fun, but there were no place to make illustrations, and so every week I went to the village of Sagarejo, and there I had my own house, and it was beautiful nature there, mountains, fresh air, and I kind of focus on Lewis Carroll method in his wordplay and trying to recreate visually the method of his work.
Just two questions before we actually look at some of the things you've brought to show us. You said in an interview that was published in Illustration magazine, I think, that one of the influences on your work, not Tenniel, but the Georgian artist Niko Pirosmani. Can you say a little bit about him?
Niko Pirosmanishvili, or Niko Pirosmani. Yes, it was a great artist, and I stayed a lot of time that period in museum admiring his work. And when I was in my so-called studio in mountains in Sagareja, all my neighbors looked like his heroes from coming alive from his paintings. Yes, he was absolutely amazing artist.
And the final question, would it be true to say that the nonsense aspects of Carol's stories appeal to you to a degree that is a reflection of life as you experienced it in the final decades of the Soviet Union?
The translation of Alice's book became a sensation in 1967. People were standing in long line just to get the book, and they were not regretting their time and their money to get the book, and they were the lucky ones, because most of the people were not able to buy the book. It was sold out very quickly, and I think the secret of the popularity of this book, because it was the kind of metaphor. So this golden key on the cover, it's unlocked the prison of the people who lived in the unfree country, and gave them spiritual internal freedom to escape with this rules of the game, these rules of nonsense, to escape from the scare, from the fear, from the communist regime, and from dull reality to Wonderland and to Through the Looking Glass. And that's why it was so popular, because people really needed that.
Well, let's escape to your version of Wonderland, and this is the full cover of your illustrated edition of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So could you explain a little bit about the cage, perhaps, that's there?
First of all, I want to say that it is... Are you okay?
Tanya,
We're getting caught up ourselves.
This titled Theatre of Justice, and it is jumbled pyramid of boxes or frames. And I wanted to show that the Wonderland is not a reality for me. It's another word, and it's pretty much perpendicular to word of reality. There is up and down. You can fall there. You can grow there. It's not a 3D place. It's one-dimensional, and we can see the knife of hearts here, and he is sitting on chair-shaped cage, and takes its meaning from Russian expression to be sitting down, implying to be in prison. So this the painting of this was exhibited and honorably mentioned at the exhibition Art Council of Kern at Bakersfield, California.
Okay, we could go to the next one.
Yeah.
you want the...
Can I? Yes, sure.
We can do it.
This is the first drawing which I did in 1978. So, and the cover I did in Canada, so you can see the colors. This is the jump to Wonderland, so Alice had no idea what was waiting for her. This is antipathy, so the line of cemetery here is curved, and I can see Wonderland as a topsy-turvy word. So we have up and down, and we can see that men and women pretty much opposite each other, but when they're together, their houses are connected. So some houses have the roofs from both sides.
And this is probably, as with some of Tanya's other illustrations, an example of illustrating a thing that no one else has ever illustrated, the antipathies and all the plays on the meaning of that proper noun.
Yeah, I was captured with Lewis Carroll's words, so I was trying just to follow his metaphors.
Right.
And this is probably, it will be strange to see in the children's book. It's an old couple with one body to each other, husband and wife. I call it half husband, half wife. But the format of the playing cards with two heads and one body, shared body, it reminds me a married couple who tied to each other for their whole life and who are connected to each other with all kinds of chains and for the whole life. And the black background, it can be a coffin or it can be a bed, both of them. So this is just the reminder that I'm just following, trying to understand what is the playing card is. So that's why I included it on the first page. This is. You maybe can guess. I make this drawing after I met August Imholtz, so that pretty much his portrait. And the original illustration is here. You can pass it through.
The same bow tie I'm wearing today, actually.
Yeah. This is Dina cat, and she has two heads because she has to hunt for the mice, and she had to hunt for the birds. So she had to look both sides, to the sky and to the earth. And her tongue is out, so she's pretty much like hunting and thinking how she will catch both of them. Mm-hmm. Her head is on her tail.
Yes.
So this is Alice. She is inside the rabbit hole, and that shows actually my feeling when I was in our so-called bedroom, living room, the only room which we had. And the shape of this house is pretty much human. Even you cannot explain, is it a house has the human shape or the human has the house shape? So it's very much inside and outside. It's so mixed, like in Tbilisi. Some streets are so narrow and you keep walking through them. And then the sofa came and you understand that you are inside somebody's living room or somebody's back deck. So that is pretty much you now in Georgia, in Tbilisi, all those roofs, balconies, so very much people who are standing one upon another. So that is pretty much what is in Tbilisi, especially this one, this balcony, very characteristic, and the sheets, the clothes which is on the wind. So that is, she looks very like thinking now, not so desperate like the previous one. And this is a blue caterpillar. It says here no smoking on the frame. In spite of this, she's smoking.
And this is a female caterpillar, right?
Yes, female old caterpillar, yeah, in the glasses.
Almost like a grandmother.
Grandmother, yes. Babushka. As I mentioned, I read only the Russian translation. So this is to keep your temper means in Russian to keep yourself in your own hand. So I tried to understand how you can keep yourself in your own hands, and I was thinking just try to jump very high and to hold yourself, your legs in your hands, and try to hang between earth and between sky. So that kind of position, maybe, if you manage, is hanging yourself in your own.
So you made a kind of Tyrolean joke on something in the text itself.
I was illustrating Russian text
Right.
to keep yourself in your own hands. So
Yes.
I thought it was Father William doing a.
yeah, that was I had to be. He had to be Father William because it's no sense to place it in the where is Caterpillar's advice. That no sense. So here we have Mr. Time, and here is smashing Mad Hatter, who is murdering the time at the same time with his endless tea party. So, and telling the story how Queen bawled out, "You are murdering time." So.
And Alice is over here on the right.
Yes.
Which is, again, a little bit of a departure from the usual representation of the Mad Tea Party.
Yes, the heads are here, Hatter are here, Dormouse sleeping here, and this is here.
Yeah, right.
And it's always 6 o'clock, of
Always
course.
is.
This is the Mad Hatter puzzle.
Puzzle, yeah, the riddle.
A riddle. So why the raven look like a writing desk? So they're all connected. The raven, the human, the animals. So we're all connected to each other, if you think. So that's why probably I tried to solve this problem visually. You can agree or not, but it's just my interpretation. This one is another attempt to draw the muchness, because another challenge was, did you ever see somebody drawing the muchness? So these begin with M, such as mouse traps and the moon and the memory and the muchness. You know, you say things are much of muchness. Did you ever see such a thing as drawing of a muchness? Here I tried just to take part from this figure, and instead of head I put in the place of feet, and foot on the place of head. So I just changed the places.
That may be the only, or at least the first drawing of muchness.
And here is a mathematical explanation. What is the muchness? I hope it's right. I'm not sure. My husband wrote for me. Everything so starts with a mouse.
Mouse trap, the mouse.
Mouse, moon.
And moon and muchness.
Yeah. And here Alice became big, so now she's looking down, and nobody can do anything. The growth it can be anything, like here maybe she became important figure, or just physically much bigger than they are in other dimension. So now nobody can.
Clearly dominating the scene.
Yeah, dominating the scene. So you are only the deck of playing cards. So what can you do for me?
And then we move on to Through the Looking Glass, which has the metaphor, of course, of a game of chess rather than the playing cards that are the underlying frame of the Wonderland story.
Yes, I want to say that for me it's pretty much different tales, different stories, and they have different space inside of them. I feel Through the Looking Glass as a winter tale, and as a three-dimensional in the opposite of Summer Tale and two-dimensional Alice in Wonderland. So we have some space here, and in that very important scene, which is on the cover of the book, we have four tables. Queen Alice on the top.
The high table.
On the high table there with other queens, and the chess tablecloth, and all kind of looking glass creatures who were invited. And I'm very much interested in this scene. I think that is the most important thing, like a culmination in the book. And especially I'm interested when Alice spoke to Pudding, and the Pudding is written with the capital letter. And I was thinking that there is examples in English when food, for example, sandwich, we know it was a person.
That's right.
Yeah, so who knows, maybe Pudding was person too. At the end of this scene, we have the kind of revolution. First, creatures attack food with their knives, and then food attacks, and they even changing their places. So it's the kind of democratic revolution in this scene.
Very good.
And that is another. So we can, as I probably mentioned, I painted in the Ellen Travel Gallery, the first one, this painting, and it was Toronto Island on the background. Mm-hmm. So, and it was some later when I did for the book. It was winter and Toronto Island again.
And you're quite right. The Wonderland is a summer tale, and it's snowing through the looking glass as Alice begins.
So I tried to keep food as alive as possible.
Yeah. And this is the cover.
Yeah, this is the cover. This is the kind of food like telling you can cut me on pieces, you can do whatever you want to do, but obey please my rights and freedoms. And this is the last through the looking glass, the color tradition, the cover for it. Here I used collage and picture, Lewis Carroll's picture of Alice, of real Alice. So this illustration is called Real Alice. And here's from the insects, looking glass insects, and we have the small landscape with
sort of a
chessboard.
topological chessboard.
And surrealistic elephants who have different wings. So some of them from the ears, and some of them real wings, real elephant wings. Yeah, and Alice standing on the top. Some of the elephants have the glasses. I don't know why, but some of them have Jewish hats. Maybe because I was living in Jewish area, and I am living in Jewish area. That is the same chapter, and here is again a looking glass landscape with small houses, and the looking glass train, and Alice, and the horse, and all kind of creatures. Somebody is late.
Traversing the chessboard.
Yeah.
The fish engineer.
This is Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Here the chessboard has like, you can see it's 3D, and trees it's like autumn time, and the crow, and I was satisfied, like a primitivism of this work with the central crow in the composition and the cloud, gray cloud, above the chessboard. So Dom is pretty unhappy, and Alice on the middle, and he
emphasized the rectilinear thinking of them by having the rooks more like instead of them being cylinders, they're solids.
Yes, the only one who had chess pieces are Tweedledum and Tweedledee.
Yes.
Here we have Humpty Dumpty, and what is important for me is the explanation how Humpty Dumpty, after he said goodbye, he explained to Alice that probably he will never remember her because her face is much look like other faces. Probably if two eyes will be above each other and the mouth will be on the forehead, probably that way it will help. But that way, like she is, she will never remember her again. So that I tried to depict.
Very interesting. Even Salvador Dali goes this far.
And this is from the song of Humpty Dumpty, when a foreigner came and the fishes who went to bed. So mother fish and the children prepared to go to bed. This collage again. At that time, I was thinking about Alice as a pawn, as a white pawn, because she started the game as a pawn, and she has a goal to be a queen. And at this, probably any time, so the girl's fortune was what they were. The steps, how she should be successful in life. That was actually I was thinking about when I was doing this collage. And this is our Canadian winter.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Could almost be a Russian winter.
It almost, yes. It so look like Russia. We have the song about that, but it is not Russia.
We make a great poster.
Thank you. Yes. Is that the last one, I guess?
Is it? That's the last one.
No, that is the
Lewis Carroll.
Yeah, Lewis Carroll, probably. Yeah, again, the collage and the actual picture of Lewis Carroll and Alice, different chess pieces, watch. That's it.
Let's see if there are any questions before we move on to Oleg Lipchenko while Tanya is sitting here. Any? Yes, Matt.
I really like this piece. I'm curious to know what the object is doing.
That thing in the middle is like what?
This is it's illustration to the last poem, and it says that about the flower which he from the country which he's keeping. Alice only in his recollections right now. He first of all she grew up, so that girl is not existing anymore. So that was and this flower is from this poem.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you very much. I was working on this theme for many, many years, and I'm very thankful now to do this presentation.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Our second illustrator artist is our friend Oleg Lipchenko, whom I first met in Moscow in 1989. Oleg had traveled from Kiev to Moscow, and we met at Nina Demurova's apartment. And if my memory is correct, at that time I spoke no Russian. I don't speak much now. We took a walk up Ianovskaia Ulitsa, as it was then called. Now it's been Sovietized, and it's called Nikolaevskaya in honor of St. Nicholas Church, to the ruins of the Andronikov Monastery, where we saw the tomb of the great artist, icon artist, Andrei Rublev, and the inscriptions on ancient gravestone in the Glagolitic script, which neither of us could read. So, Oleg, welcome. Your illustrations, again, are quite different from Tenniel, and that is not always the case. Is that correct?
I'd ask you to keep the questions in the same order, but you have missed one. Okay. Sorry,
I'll be better next time.
Yeah, because I'm a little bit nervous and sorry. About Tenniels, so let's jump into the folder.
Closer to the mic.
No, closer. Okay. It's Tatiana's. Yeah. The question, please repeat the question.
Did you consciously try to depart from Tenniel's illustrations?
Absolutely, and both consciously and unconsciously, because as an artist, but not illustrator at the time when I began to draw Alice, I was not illustrator, I was just painter, graphic artist, because illustrating books, it's like pretty much special profession. You have to know some rules, some tricks, and so on. Maybe I was a bit naive, but I thought, and I'm thinking now, if you want to illustrate something, read the text, imagine it, and if you don't have any reaction to the text, put it aside. But if you have, do draw your own vision, your own characters, your own surroundings, scenes, and so on. This question is very Carolian and very Elysian, because as you know, many of you are collectors, and you are familiar with a lot of editions where illustrators followed John Tenniel's tradition, followed in some degree of closeness.
Yes.
Some of them, let's begin from some of them even almost copied Tenniel's characters, Tenniel's scenes, and so on. This is an interesting question. I won't go far into this, but it's an interesting topic for collectors, for people who study Carol more closely, why it happened, why Tenniel made such a great impact for further illustrators. So I did not follow Tenniel, even not because I did not see. I saw Tenniel's illustrations, but actually first book which came to my attention was illustrated by a great Russian illustrator Gennady Kalinovsky. As you know, sometimes artists are under somebody's are under impression from somebody's works, like great artists make influence, and you unconsciously repeat some lines and so on. But in this case, I would be first repeat Kalinovsky's illustrations.
He did several different sets of illustrations for the Alice books.
Yes, his first. It was the one I actually first met Alice. It was the first edition of Alice. Then he illustrated Looking Glass in different technique, and then he returned to Alice in Wonderland, illustrated it again in different technique. So he was not like too tired because he had a name, and he was not like too pushed from the art directors, and so he had some freedom in his. Let's illustrate my dry lecture with some pictures. See, first we saw the scene with the lobster, with the mock turtle and the griffin. They meet. They are meeting at the seashore. But by the way, Lewis Carroll did not say a word that where it was. Seashore came from the lobster quadrille, and John Tenniel illustrated this scene in a seashore. But why should we follow Tenniel's tradition? Tenniel worked in cooperation with Carroll. Carroll suggested him something, he rejected or accepted or otherwise. So Tenniel in his illustrations has kind of authority. And after Tenniel, a lot of illustrators made the same scenery, seashore, and these guys. So this is picture from my first black and white series for Alice, and I also put them all to the seashore. Let's go. But in my final edition, all this chapter, where is the royal garden, courtroom, and where did Alice met Griffin? Everything is happening in royal palace, because first I have rights to interpret this by myself, because no signs in the text where it was. So
it's equally valid.
Yes, yes. She met Griffin, who was lying on the sun, in the sun. Mm-hmm. No more words. So is it on seashore or somewhere else? So I put Griffin was not in here in the previous illustration. He was on the what it is, console, or what how to say, on the part of cathedral. On the he was Griffins and other fairy tale creatures. It's like
Gargoyles.
Yeah, gargoyles, chimeras.
Yes.
So their place is somewhere on cathedral.
Right.
So Griffin took Alice and brought her to the mock turtle, and then they discuss their matters somewhere in the palace. Let's go further.
Sort of flying buttress stairs.
It's my Griffin from my first series of illustrations. Here is you see here is a kind of carpet, but its actual size is small. It's
And when did you do this?
Oh, it was about 86, like this. It was ancient times. Let's go. Yeah, here I just to compare the scene in the royal garden where when Cheshire Cat appears, disappears, and next one, please. Yeah, here is the same, but a little bit more surrealistic, like big black cloud. Next, please. No. It's right. It's courtroom. Okay, next. It's Teniers, and yeah, and the picture from my first series. I tried to make some kind of royal courtroom, big ceilings, high ceilings, and so on. And
It looks like Alice is about ready to erupt.
okay, let's go. Now, I know the questions, so I'm that's why I'm. You please continue with the.
Did you, and further along that line, did you illustrate different scenes from those drawn by Tenio?
Yeah, it's actually the part of the previous question. So, like, what about scenes, about compositions? Here I did not follow other rules than importance of the scenes. So, if so, it must be when you read the text. Some things like look like transitions, and some points are important to draw. So find these points and illustrate. In this case, some scenes I did illustrated the same scenes as Carol and as 100 and more other illustrators, and because, for example, caucus race, you cannot skip. It is important.
They're integral to understanding what's going on.
Yes, and when mouse tries to drive the company, and this is Teniers, and please next one. Okay, this is it's a little bit not the same, but okay, we will see. This is caucus race, and let's go next, please. Oh, no, stop. Okay, so what about scenes? It's not about returning to the first question. It's not about like plagiarism and so on. When you, for example, we talked with Alan yesterday about this matter, and a lot of illustrators used like Victorian surroundings, Victorian decorations, Victorian dresses, and so on, to drop readers into this atmosphere. And it's not like question of plagiarism, but the question appeared because some editions have just straight copying of Teniers. And but when it goes to compositions, as much as this particular scene important, you have to draw it. Did I answer?
Yes, that's a very good answer. So you're saying some scenes are really integral to the text and just have to be there, whether or not Temio had included them. And
Sure.
others you can do, you or another illustrator can do at your own desire, what strikes you as moving the story forward. Let's talk about the brightness and sparkle of your illustrations. This is a pretty good example. It seems as though in your work here, the text almost flows from the illustrations rather than being simply beside the illustrations, simply beside the text themselves. And that's surely deliberate, right? Or maybe not.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
this goes to
no.
composition.
Here is just I would like to
Distinguish.
to distinguish several parts of this language, this question. First, let's begin from the end. First of all, about compound of the text and the picture. I saw my task to draw some kind in between illustrated books and picture book. So children picture book, when you open each spread and it's colorful and so on. But still, this is a big story, so it still could not be such richly illustrated. But concept was to have pictures on each 2 pages spread. Then, yes, I wanted to I did not want to have frames for my pictures. I wanted to have a freedom for the silhouette, to cut the silhouette of the picture. This is not a good example, not a good photo. Let's go further. I show you. We will return to this, but this is not a good example in colors, because same. Okay, let's see. Here is more visible. You know my book, and each illustration consists of 2 parts. It's brown part and black and white. Black and white, brown part is a direct illustration to the current recent scene. What happens in this particular part of the text.
Part of illustrating the text itself.
Yes, actually, it's very important to illustrate the same piece of text which is on this spread, because sometimes, if you don't care, sometimes it goes like this. We read about this, but illustration will be on the next spread. It's not very comfortable, but I care about comfort of the reader. And black and white part, it is it contains not the action which happens in the text, but thoughts, details of conversations, references, and so on. So it's kind of supplementary material to the actual illustration. Then, as you see in the brown part, the actual drawing is made with a dark brown pencil and covered with ochre
Yes.
watercolor, yeah, which is in fact tea. Why? It's very important. It's a part of conception. Alice in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll, consciously or subconsciously,
Yes,
but
yes.
he did not describe the space. The space is very strange. See, Alice dropped down on the ground, and then she appeared in a garden, in a hole. In a hole is okay. Underground hole could exist, but then she comes to the garden. Then she comes to the tea party. It's in somewhere's garden too. So
Outside the house.
yeah, and all these scenes, they are not they discrete. They not connected. Some of the scenes we can replace in order and without any harm. For example, she runs. It's after the sea of tears. Yes, she met again White Rabbit, and he said, "Go for my gloves."
So,
And she runs, and suddenly she appears in front of the house. So here she was in the big hall, and suddenly she appears in front of the house. How it was happened? So. The space, as I imagine, it's kind of dream-like substance, uncertain substance. So I imagine myself as kind of yellow smoke, yellow mist. It's something which, like we saw today, the photographs.
Right, exactly.
Girls stayed in front of the uncertain wall. So this was the concept of this yellow feeling of the empty parts with yellow. Let's go further. Yeah, here we see the same. Here is the actual movement. She is falling down in this well, but here all that she reminds while she's falling down, beds, cats, and so on. So this is everything begins from the flowers. It was somewhere there. Let's go for this. So actually, I think I
answered those questions.
Yes.
You answered those
You
questions.
stopped me.
One of the things you did say in the talk you gave in Toronto when the Lewis Carroll Society meeting was in Toronto, you asked the audience in a kind of crowd sourcing way, what would be the best of the several choices to do for an illustration? Do you remember that?
Please, more specific.
Yeah, about which illustration, how to make the illustration?
Like map?
Oh, about map?
Yes, the map, yes.
Yeah, for the Looking Glass, it's much more certain. Lewis Carroll described the country. It is like cut by like a chessboard and so on. Not as in Wonderland. So in this case, I would like to do, and I will do, the map of
Good.
Looking Glass country.
Very good. That's very interesting to hear how an artist and illustrator handles both the text itself and what he or she sees in the literary work. Does anyone in the audience have any questions? Yes, Arnold.
In your early illustrations, you were using a lot of cross-hatching, which is what Tenniel used. Now, in your later style, you have moved away from that. You're showing dimension in different ways. When and why and how did you stop being that influenced by Tenniel and cross-hatching and move to different ways of showing depth?
First, this first series was intended to be engravings. So I did these pictures that I showed. They are like sketches for engravings. So I tried to spread white and black and find the like good composition and so on. They are like work in drawings. Then I decided they look good as themselves, as they are. For a while, I put Alice aside because all people around said that it's too dark, too gothic, like it's not children, it's not for children. So I was a little bit uncertain about this series and put aside, and then I did begin to draw to draw the same and other pictures with colored pencils. It looked like very childish, but I don't like it. You know, I remember from my childhood a lot of black and white illustrations which I loved, you know, and I was not unhappy with them. So I don't think, I think it's a kind of our common mistake. Kids love only colored pictures. So I put aside this colored series, and then after a while I decide what's the noise in my head. I have to stop it. I have to finish this Alice. I have to complete the whole book. And after some searches, technique searches, I came to this. The first one was pen and ink. It was very contrast and dramatic. And this is a colored pencil, brown pencil and just light pencil. So I found this solution like compromise, like.
I think that the use of the burnt sienna reminds me of the sepia of the photographs. Very nice and warm.
Yes, and I did not follow like exactly old photographs, but the resemblance is all obvious, yeah, and I like it.
And they're much brighter and more friendly or welcoming than the browns you see in Rackham's illustrations.
Yeah.
This was a question here about Rackham, and it's nice to be in one phrase with Rackham. But we all have wrong impression. Rackham's illustrations are not brown.
Oh.
They are colored different with different colors, mostly brownish. But let's find some Rackham. I prepared, yeah. See? It has colors. It's not like brownish. It's
Okay.
actually brownish, not
Okay,
brown.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I think we are running a little late, so maybe we'll stop there, and anyone coming to dinner can have further questions for Oleg or in our break, which will be 10 minutes rather than 15.
Yeah, let me say something before we break.
Okay.
Thank you.